Is God here with me right now? Am I destined to succeed? FedEx? I have dreams. I have faith. I understand what I'm in. I understand the opportunities you've given me. I understand that I'm asking for things and getting more than what I'm expecting, but I'm never getting money. I knew if $1,000 fell in my lap, I could turn it into 10 grand easy. But it feels like that goes away when I try to go further into society and connect, sort of like a job or an organization or an institution. Even perseverance and preparation can fall away at one wrong decision. And I feel like I've had my light snuffed out 1,000 times. And I know that I'm here, so I must be the same person that I've always been, even if it doesn't feel like that person's around anymore or only comes through at certain times. I've recognized in my dead brother the fact that, in a way, Casey's dead. And he only visits. Sort of like he left to join a fight that I don't understand. And I'm sort of just a frontline soldier for a multi-dimensional, multiversal spiritual war. And I just keep going, and eventually I come back, and it all makes sense. I know that every step that I take angers something, and the braver I am, the more the birds come to support it. There's a little fairy. You want to see him? It's perfect timing that it falls away just before. But for the first time, I used to say that these little pollen floaties, you know what I'm talking about, the little white floating seeds of a plant that hasn't sprouted yet, so they shouldn't be around. Yet they come out with the birds. And they float just long enough for me to see it, and they fall away into this mess before I can show the camera. As you can hear, the birds have come where it was dead quiet before, and they flew right to left. When it gets warmer, the world expands. So although it looks very small right now, give it a couple weeks and this will feel much larger than it is. I haven't given up. I know that to be a genius is to be understood, to be misunderstood, and that makes you seem crazy. Because most people don't have the courage to live like I do. And when they do, they fall victim to the things that it takes a lot of effort for me to avoid or to persevere against in constant battle with the evil of the world. And for a long time, I felt like everything I did was for all of us. For the people that didn't deserve it. And for the people that I chose to care about. Which is almost everyone I've ever come across. I've gone up against people and I've been victorious. I've gained victory over slumlords, abusive police, neglectful lawyers, sharks. At the other end of the tunnel, I found out that most of them were most of everyone I've ever met was or has become my enemy through no fault of my own. I'm an endangered species, and I've been in danger. And I've passed the test, and I've survived. My wisdom falls on deaf ears. It wasn't fulfilling to be Andrew Tate or Owen Cook or Elliot Holst or John Bellion or Daredevil or a superhero or the King in the North or the people that I met, mechanics that have families, big families, and they live in a shack that they built and extended over time into a large house out in the forest. It wasn't fulfilling to be a lawyer or a corporate entity. But all the people that I wanted to be became Kelly Creative Collective, Casey Rocket, Kurt Kaz, Kendrick Curry, Kai Cenat. I'm seeing Grayson Chance. I'm seeing even Frank Castle, the Punisher, Castle, Exalted, On the Hill, Brian, Frank O'Brien, Frank Castle, the Punisher, the brain damaged person whose family was killed and he fought to destroy the society that took them from him when he had given nothing or given everything for people he didn't really know at war. Even Matt Murdock, the blind man who fights because his Irish father wanted to give him a win and was killed by corruption and organized crime, and he lost everything and was institutionalized. I think greed, envy, lust, pride, wrath to me doesn't seem as much of a deadly sin so much as it is a wrong choice. But wrath just seems like a tool used by the other sins. So I wouldn't call it necessarily its own entity. I guess wrath is like a mercenary. One of the last times I saw my dad, he shaved his beard so that he had the mutton chops, and he said he looked like Wolverine. So I think it's pretty cool that I wound up with this coat. The people that took my protocol for spiritual evolution and getting back in touch with God and inheriting grace have gone missing. And it's not a superhero monologue for content. the people that I trained in my world, how to survive out here with my beliefs, they're all missing. But the last time I spoke to all of them, they were miles ahead of anywhere they'd ever be without me. I made leaders, humbled, abusive, false lights. I started something I don't even know the impact of. My influence is felt throughout Vermont and now across the country, across the state, into New Hampshire, up to Maine, down to Boston, through Connecticut, New York City now, in the industry, Venice Beach. And I can see all the different people laying against my roots, chewing out the nutrients, trying to take from me something that would be given for free. But people are afraid of accountability. They can't embody what they know would be necessary to have a simple conversation with me. So they sit in hiding and only come out when they're maybe not wrongdoings, maybe not corruption, but just the part of them that they're too afraid to let go of comes to attack me. I feel like the world deserves to know who I am. The only reason I really did it is because I saw no alternative. I didn't like who I saw in those positions. So I made myself become something that would fill the void. And I found out along the way that that void fit me perfectly and was a respectful. Imagine how complex the system would have to be to provide a space necessary for me to fill in the most perfect, beautiful representation of myself. But the point is, do I want to do it, and why should I? What's the point? When the more money that you have, the worse you become, and the farther away you get from right here. And you spend your days longing for this, to have nothing, nowhere, in a dangerous place, surrounded by enemies. And I did it, and I survived. That was why I didn't do it. That's why I didn't go on stage with North Ave Jacks when I had the opportunity to. I know you fuck with these Burlington rappers. King K. House with the tree they branch off of. I think they all lost to God No Sauce, bruh. A bunch of bots. Maybe that's why God sent me here and he dropped me off. Because every time they came from my heart and I swung back harder, I evolved! My dad sits in a garden with both of his cats. I go to town with a gun on my sack. I don't think y'all know nothing about that. You all don't know jack. This, that new Return of the Mac. I go to war like a colonel from Brat. Polar bears don't do good in the pack. Kids downtown are hooked on crack. Crack! All of my exes think that I'm jealous. I ain't impressed that you're fucking a dork. You won't see me fucking a fat bitch. Allah says to stay away from the pork. This was brick and mortar, ain't no Rick and Morty. All the kids I put on fell off dead like an unwanted abortion. This ain't a hobby or chore. This is a war. I struggled and suffered for it. I slept on the ground for 4 winters, ate from a dumpster, fucking on whores just to get warm. Now I'm fucking on somebody foreign and somebody's foreign. I made it so euphoric, she met the Lord. I got people begging me to do porn. If I did, I'd charge $1 million for it. I ain't lying, I'm a giant Irish lion diagnosed with oppositional defiance. One day y'all gonna see me on the Forbes. I'm embedded in their minds like vinyl. Everything I spit is final. Bottom line, like I wrote my signature. I go out to public parks just to make those demons knock it off. I won't turn my shit down for you, bitch. You are not the boss. Oh, you got a boo-boo, little bitch? Go and walk it off. Every time they cut me down, I came back with a Molotov. Boy, I'm like thunder. Wait for the roar. There's nowhere to hide. I'm the king of the north! My whole team is ready for war. We drew up our fiery swords and know that we're special and came back to settle the score. We're ready to come gun down all of you dorks. You can never get my glory. I'm adorning and adornment. You doormat and annoying. Get the fuck out my flat foyer. I just raw dogged my 5th bitch this morning like a Mormon. I got an assortment of shorties. Whose little brothers adore me. Go ask the Lord who you think's more important. And it was much better in 2023 when I still had lungs. And I was running every day, biking miles. Instead, I left and I saw a dead rabbit on the ground and I felt like I failed, and I did fail. And then I went somewhere else. But the day of, I went to the river. I pulled off in some small town in Vermont, in southern Vermont, on my way back to Burlington. And I performed for the rocks and the sticks and the trees. And it was amazing. But there's something about stepping into that space that feels like it's an evil you'll never come back from. Almost like I have Stockholm syndrome with being the wrong version of myself the world sees me as, because of the comfort that I found in isolation. When the whole world felt like it was against me and everyone I've ever known was disappointed in me for things I had no control over because they had been corrupted with a false image of me, a false idea of me. They had the wrong identity. Disappointed because of rumors other people started to attack me, whether they knew it or not. So for a long time, I fought to prove them wrong. And I did. And then I didn't like it. So I purposefully corrupted it again. I became a crackhead on the internet. I felt like it was just me and God, and I liked that a lot. I owned them. I don't care if you're left to right. I want to see what bird you are. Oh, you're a black-capped chickadee. And the other bird went right to left. That one was just going to meet it. And now the leaves are falling right to left. No, those are feathers. No, it's a leaf. Yeah, I always give them too much. So this up here, I raked all the way from here up last year, and I dug and cleared out this flat space right here. So this was curved and weird. It was like a gradual hill, but I literally cleared all this out because I expected somehow to wind up with the camper. And I would put it up here. And then I would build a wall around this. around those dead trees. And that would be a separate yard for the dogs and the chickens. I would put a pool right there, and I would sleep here with the view of the sun setting right there. Eventually, when no one was looking, I would clear out the branches to put myself a view of the mountains in here. And if I was famous, I'd be dead. You know how many people my content triggers? I guarantee you some white man in Arkansas would get real mad at what I said about white people. You come shoot me. Come shoot me right here. I'd just be raking the leaves. They wouldn't have to do much to never get caught. So it's up to God. I've proven that I will just go and not stop. And then I thought about what was necessary and what wasn't, and I followed the light. Sometimes it felt like pain was more important than routine. So hiding and trying to solve complex problems that hurt. Sort of like I have a brain injury that keeps me in emotional distress, constantly reliving my traumas over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And having to fight through that in the year of the storm where the crows are screaming at me and the cops, creeps, crunts, chaos, corruption, and crackheads won't leave me alone. Either way, it's miles ahead of you. And I'm so happy because I've done things now that no one else can do. You'll never get 2024 back. I could make a great song right now. I could go work in the film industry and make my art. I could go to a showdown in Boston, beat up people on the street. But the stars will never align the way that they did for me to experience this as I had for the first time last year. That's Christ, by the way. Do you see how it's shaped like a person or an angel with the wings? And you see how the energy crosses over into matter. And the will of God becomes the earth. This is just condensed light. Remember when I had my hatchet stolen from me by some random guy that attacked me last year and nobody said anything? I got a better one. This one's actually sharp. What do I hit? Let's hit this one. That used to take me 3 or 4 hits. And that was like 10% power with the last hatchet. See how much trouble I had hacking this? Look at that. This is my squat rack though. That's what I do shoulder presses on. So I don't want to break it just yet. They did give me one that's kind of fucked up. I'm gonna have to hammer it in and figure out how to seal it. The head does look like it's gonna come off eventually. But we're at 13%. I'm gonna have to brave the wilderness to walk back to McDonald's, where I don't have enough money for food, but I have one free sandwich. So I can sit there and charge tonight. Later.